Hi everyone, today I want to share a new project using the Soar Confidently stamp set. This is in the spring mini catalog, which runs from January to June, and it's a nice kind of stamp that's got a Father's Day in it, so you can use that for Father's Day that's coming up in a few months, and to a wonderful man, so you've got some masculine sentiments in here. But I think it's also great for graduation, which is also in May, June. Soar confidently in your own sky, so that's really nice, and then a little for you. So it's kind of fun. You've got some different flying machines. They have an antique look to them. There's a blimp and a little hot air balloon and an old plane. So I was thinking about flying, so then I was thinking of the sky and I was thinking clouds. And as I was playing with the cloud idea, I wanted to do something just a little more, and I thought it might be fun to add this shadow here. And so I'm calling this faux layering. So it looks like I've added a layer. This is like a separate piece that I put on top, but actually this is all just one piece of basic white cardstock. And so I've made my clouds and using some sponging, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And I thought I would show you a couple different versions here. I've got a blue sky, and this is in Seaside Spray. And then on this one I used Calypso Coral, and I ended up putting it with a terracotta tile ribbon because I thought it was Calypso Coral, but it's not terracotta tile. But I think that those look nicely together anyway. So I've got my hot air balloon and my plane, and I guess I could also use the little blimp on another one. So anyway, let's show you how to do these. So I'm taking a piece of basic white cardstock, and it is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then I used my layering squares dies, that's these little babies here, to cut the largest square, and I cut it with a post-it note, which then gave me this. Now I'm going to do another one because it's gotten a little dusty from use. I've made several cards already, so I'm going to make a new one. Now I have seen a few post-it note pads that are full-on sticky, so the whole thing is sticky, and if you can find those, that's great. I did not find those in this size. I have them, but smaller, and I needed it bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out with my die machine. Okay, and next you need something for your clouds. Now you can hand cut these little scalloped clouds if you want, and I used the die from another die collection because I knew that it made this nice row of clouds. But if you don't have that die collection, you can easily cut yourself some scallops. The die set with the clouds is called Happy Dies, and it's kind of a birthday collection with some balloons, so the clouds kind of can go. You can use those with this instead of the airplane. You can go with a balloon theme. But anyway, it comes with this little cloud die, which is what I'm using, and I cut 2 different ones out because I wanted a variety in my clouds. So if you're going to do your own with cutting, then you can cut as many different clouds as you want. In order to get the most variety, I kind of cut from one side, and then I went through again and cut biased on the other side to get myself a good variety. And then when I put them down to use, I moved them slightly to the left, slightly to the right, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and use this post-it note and get it in the top. And I still have that sticky, so that's going to help hold it down. And when you cut out your scallops, try to leave some of that sticky also. Like these are starting to get a little not so sticky. In fact, I think I'll cut a couple more really quick. Okay, so I have cut myself some clouds, and you're just going to start by laying them down. Now there's a couple different ways you can do it. I have these new blending brushes, which I love, and I'm going to use them. But you can also use sponges instead. And so I'll do both. So this is the blending brushes. When you're using the blending brushes, you want to start off your project and kind of work your way in. Because if you just go flat down, you kind of get a blob. And you don't want that. You want it soft. So you want to start off the project and then head in and get on your piece that you're going for. Now how deep you want it depends, you know, how many layers you put on. So I'm going to remove this layer, and then I'm going to grab my other one and move it over. Now you don't want to go all the way up to the top. You can, but you want your clouds to be mostly white, but you need your seaside spray to go all the way kind of to the side, even just if it's ever so slightly, just to make sure you maintain that line of the square that we're creating. Okay, so we're going to move this one. And then we're going to put this one down. This time, last time I moved it all the way to the right. This time I'm going to move it all the way to the left. Okay, now once we get to the bottom, rather than just leave that white, I want to maintain that square bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and just with another post-it note, I just want to cover this so that I don't accidentally sponge too far down. And then we're just going to do the last layer. Okay, so we've got our square down, and it's totally fun just like this. So you can leave it like this and call it done. But I found that it's really fun to add a shadow. So what I did for the shadow is I grabbed my Stampin' Blends. I thought you could use Smoky Slate or the Gray Granite. I think Gray Granite is just slightly lighter, so I went with the Gray Granite, but light Smoky Slate would work too. Now if you don't have Stampin' Blends, try some other things. Like for example, I did, here's one, although I was a little bit sloppy with it. This one, I just used my ink pad, my Smoky Slate ink pad, and a blender pen. Let me show you what that looks like. This is a blender pen, and it has like a little, I don't know what's in it, but you can pick up ink with it and then draw. And so what I did was I drew some with that, but I was a little heavy-handed, and so I think it's a little thick. And another choice would be your watercolor pencils. You can use watercolor pencils and draw a little line and then blend them out a little bit with that blender pen again. So here I'm going to try it with the Stampin' Blends. This is the light Gray Granite, and then I wanted to just help myself out with the line by just covering it just slightly. Helps me. You have to know where to start though, and then I just try to very lightly draw a line. And then I did it again here on the bottom. And that helps it kind of have a shadow. And it looks like that piece is now a piece of paper. And it really does. I actually brought it into my husband to ask him if he thought it looked like a faux layer. And he said, and I was handing it to him, and I guess I was handing it to him kind of awkwardly. And he said, "Oh, did you not glue it down yet?" Because he thought I was worried that this was going to fall off. So he thought I was talking about the layers of clouds, and that was my faux layer. But no, he thought this was a separate piece of paper. So that was kind of cool. And I hope that comes across on the video, because it does look really cool. So then I did the same thing, but I switched over to Calypso Coral. And I want to show you that just so you can see it one more time, but we'll use sponges this time, just so that we can get a variety. And I want you to know that you don't have to use the blending brushes. They're fun, and they clean, so you don't have to have one for every color. You just rinse these in water and they clean really nicely. They're on back order till, well, I think it's like end of March, so it's unfortunate. Apparently they were so popular, they had no idea they would sell out as much as they did. But you know, everybody's looking for new tools, something new and different, and that fit the bill, I guess. So keep your eye out. I think if you try to order them, it'll say, do you want to be notified when they're back in stock or something like that. Or let me know and I'll notify you when they're back in stock. They're really fun. But in the meantime, use your sponges. Okay, so sometimes I didn't get this lined up perfectly. It's so hard. It's like the exact size. And it's so hard to get it perfect. Oh, I did a good job on that one. All right, I'm going to cover the bottom. Okay, so now I'm going to go with Calypso Coral, and I'm going to go back to this one and see if I can do it. I want to show you a different one. So here's the one we just did, and here's a Calypso Coral Sky, which I think is fun. It's kind of like a sun-setting sky or something like that. But I did one where here it is. Look how fun that is. So the reason why there's two different colors here is because I made one in Calypso Coral, and I used this Post-it note, and so the Calypso Coral ink was still a little bit damp on here on the paper. And then even though I used my blue blending brush and I was using it, there was still some ink on the Post-it note that hadn't kind of seeped in and dried, so it brought it up into the clouds. So now this cloud has kind of a two-tone look, and I think that's kind of really fun, actually. My team is doing a sponging technique swap this month, so this is my sponging technique swap card. Hopefully they'll like it. Anyway. So here I'm going to use my sponge. This is Calypso Coral. This is just a cut up sponge. Stampin' Up sponges come in a big round sponge, and then I cut it into little pie wedges. And so that's what this is. And I'm just going to kind of use the same technique, starting on the paper and then going up onto my cardstock. Okay, there's one layer. I'll speed this up so the video is shorter. Okay, here's that same technique, but with sponges, and you can see that it worked just nicely. And I didn't line up my Post-it note perfectly, and I did get some of the Calypso Coral on the edge here, so you can just trim a little sliver off of there if you need to. know, I thought for this one, since I was talking about their options, so I've got my sponge option and then my blending brush option, I thought maybe I would show you the watercolor pencils option. So Stampin' Up! Sells watercolor pencils in all our, not all our colors, but several of our colors. And Basic Gray comes in, I think it's in assortment 1. So I'm going to try and see what I think about the watercolor pencil idea. So I'm going to lightly shade a shadow.
Oops. Okay.
Okay, I added my shadow with my watercolor pencil. Now I said it had to be Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils. It doesn't really have to because we're just using a gray. So you can maybe have some pencils, maybe even a plain pencil would be okay. Anyway, so it just makes this shadow look like, and I'm not even going to blend it out. I thought I might use a blending pen to blend it out, but I don't even know that that's necessary. So I think just that tiny little shadow really does make this look like a separate layer of cardstock. And I think it's fun little faux layering. I've done a few different faux layering. I did some Christmas ones where we had some faux tearing layers and stuff, and maybe I'll do some more of those because I really like using the sponging and that technique. And actually the reason why I decided to do a sponging technique for this month's swap is because that was a request from someone. So if you have a request, I'd be happy to hear it. So let me cut out my airplanes here and add them to my skies. I will fast forward during the cutting because you don't want to watch me cut. Now, if the fast forwarding is annoying, let me know. And maybe I'll stop doing that. Recently, I realized I hadn't been showing my watercolor pencils much attention, so I've been trying to use them more and more. And I went to blending Stampin' Up, Stampin' Blends, the alcohol markers, just because they are fun, but they are a higher price point, and I feel like sometimes I want to give options to people who maybe don't want to spend so much on markers. Anyway, so the watercolor pencils are nice. There's 2 different assortments, and they're not that expensive, and you know, you can get nice effects with them because you can use more pressure to get a darker color and apply light pressure to get a lighter color. And you know, you can kind of go from a light, this is Calypso Coral, and then dark, and then light, just by the pressure you put on the pencil. And you don't have to watercolor with them. So they are called watercolor pencils because they're water soluble, and you can add water and get some nice watercolor effects, but you don't have to watercolor with them. So I've been trying to use them a little more and more. So that's why I'm just kind of using it for this balloon. On the other balloon that I did, this one, I used the blends. And you get rich colors with the blends. They are fun to use, but sometimes it's nice to show variety. Some people may have the watercolor pencils and just don't use them very often. And so I thought, you know, I'm going to try for some variety. I'm not quite sure what color I want to use on here. Okay, so I went with Bermuda Bay and I did it really soft so it kind of looks like Pool Party. Now the watercolor pencils do not come in a box like this. I put them in here for myself because I have both assortments and I keep a blender pen with them. So that's why they're in that little box. There we go. Okay. I got way too much ribbon on this one. Okay. So this is the denim ribbon. It's really fun. It's not a heavy denim, so it ties nicely, which I really like. And then this is terracotta tile. I wanted a Calypso coral and I didn't have one, but terracotta tile can work in a pinch, and it's part of a ribbon combo pack that comes with terracotta tile and old olive, both of which are colors that, I mean, I use Calypso coral more than terracotta tile, but it works. And old olive is constantly used, so I really like that I have that ribbon combo pack. And then we're just going to pop those down onto a card base. This is Seaside Spray. Now Seaside Spray is retiring pretty soon. So if you love Seaside Spray like I do, grab some of that while you still can. Also ending soon is Celebration, just 5 more days. And if you want to get in on Celebration, maybe do that sooner rather than later. Celebration is where you get to choose a free item from the Celebration catalog with every $50 you spend. There's some really fun things in there. There's also a really great stamp and paper bundle. It's got some strawberries and things on it. It's a stamp set and paper combo that's free with a $100 purchase. And I gotta say, that's my favorite. I will be sad to run out of that paper. So here is the airplane. I didn't even color it. I think it's just fine as it is. And then hot air balloon. I will stick on some Calypso coral. There. I hope you like them. I hope you'll give it a try. If you do, join me at my Facebook group, Best Paper Cuts Idea Sharing Group. I would love to see what kind of faux layering you do. And, you know, you don't have to do clouds. You can do anything. I also thought this would be fun as like fake Polaroids. You could kind of imagine the different scenes you could put in there. So share with me at Best Paper Cuts Idea Sharing Group. You can post what you're making too. I don't have to just post. You can post also. And I'd love to see what you're making with this technique. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll come back again. Bye.